Good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us tonight on a very special episode of Spanning the Need with Anthony Spano. Today, we're going to talk about a journey that is a heartfelt story that everyone needs to hear. I'd like to welcome to the show Assistant Principal of Campbell City Schools, Kristin Fox. Kristin, thank you for joining me. How are you?
Hi, Anthony. Thank you so much for having me this evening. I'm honored to be here and be a part of your ever-growing network of fans and community members who have really taken to this podcast. So thank you for having me.
Oh, it's always a pleasure. I mean, we'll get a little bit into that story here in the coming show here, and I wanted to talk a little bit. People have only heard what they've heard in the media or what they've heard from just quick interviews. I want people to understand and get to know you as a person. So tell people a little bit about yourself and where you came from and how you are about kind of your career, where you are as a Campbell City Schools principal as well.
Perfect. So I started my teaching career at Eagle Heights Academy 17 years ago. It's crazy to think how fast that time went. And then I went back to my roots to Struthers for 8 years, and I got to teach with some of my former teachers, which was an awesome experience. And it was amazing to be home for that time and to work with students of some of my friends that I went to school with, their children and things like that. And then I got into the administrative side of education and went to Mahoning County Educational Service Center for 4 years, where I was a curriculum consultant, and I worked various schools throughout the county. And then we expanded into Trumbull County, Columbiana County, and Portage County while I was there. So we were serving 22 districts when I left. So I really got to meet a lot of folks across our area that have been instrumental in my journey. And I'll talk a little bit about that shortly. But that job really opened my world and my support system. And then I've had the honor and pleasure of being at Campbell City Schools. This is my 5th year. I am the special programs coordinator for the district. I oversee the grants and special programs, and I'm also an assistant principal at the high school. And my Camel family, I crossed the river, but they are an unbelievable community to be a part of, and I love where I am and what I do. So it's
And you
that's kind of
graduated
where
from Struthers. Graduated from
I
Struthers.
I actually
Yeah.
graduated from Springfield locally.
Springfield. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was going to come back because I know you have a lot of family in the Struthers cities, and you really have
Yes.
an instrumental of just really working with the kids. Your passion is education. And what makes you go to education? What kind of led you to go to being a assistant principal working in the education field?
So my mom and my aunt are both educators. My mom spent 37 years in education and ended her last 25 years in Struthers. My aunt taught in Struthers also, and they were a big impact on my life overall, and especially in my career decision. I always knew I wanted to follow in their footsteps and have an impact on children and work with children. I was a middle school teacher, which some people look at me and they're like, "You're crazy. How did you teach that?" But I loved it. Um, and I've always loved working with a diverse population. That is one thing I've gravitated to the most, is working with children of all socioeconomic levels, all different races, creeds, things like that. That's, I think, what's made me a better educator, more importantly, a better person. So I was a teacher for a long time, and then I got my master's, and I knew I wanted to do more with children and have a greater impact from a different viewpoint. So I went into educational administration, and I had the pleasure and the honor to work and learn from some of the best and the best, including Dr. Sandy Tobacco, Mr. Pete Perone, Mr. Joe Fueline, Dr. Ron Irusi, Mrs. Barb Roby. Some big names in education in our area were my mentors, and I am forever thankful for them, for what they taught me, and the hard knocks of education. It's not always easy. Now more than ever, we're in the biggest change in our career. I've been lucky to be with Mr. Matt Bowen, my superintendent, for 15 of my 17 years in some capacity. And I've watched what he's done and how he's built things from the ground up in the school. And it's just, it's really about community and engaging people from all over. And he's connected me with people at the state level and across the region. And that's kind of honestly what I think led me to this journey, if you will, that I'm on right now, of just having such an amazing support system just from the people I've met in my job and the parents that I've met and former students. That probably has impacted me the most, and I don't want to cry, but the
We don't want,
emails and
no.
yeah, just the emails and the messages I got from students that, like, you don't always realize the impact you have on a child until sometimes they're gone. And when I heard from students that I had 15 years ago, 12 years ago, like when I got sick, some reached out to my sister, my brother, my best friends, just to tell them what I did for them. And, they all save those messages we call it when I woke up from my 6-week nap. I was in a coma
Is
for
that, you
6
call it
weeks.
a nap?
Yes, we call it my 6-week nap. I slept through the worst of Corona and quarantine and the world changing. But to read those messages has just been like my driving force of like, this will not define me. And
Well, and
I,
I think, and I think that's one of the things, and let's touch a little bit about that. Let me ask this question first. Do you think the best part of your job as an educator is when you hear those stories 15 years ago, uh,
uh,
or the 10 years ago, that they come back, they're accomplished because of you, because of you? You may have had a little impact on them, but you may have thought that it was nothing.
yes, absolutely, without a doubt. I always have preached with my teachers and the educators that I worked with, like giving that kid that pencil that day may be the biggest world difference in what they came to school with, the baggage they came to school with that morning. We don't know what they dealt with at home that morning, the night before. So, you know what, like complaining that they didn't have a pencil in class may be like really minute to what they dealt with. And then you hear those stories. And I've had students reach out to me that honestly, like, I didn't realize at all I had an impact on when I was teaching them as 7th grade hormonal children and changing and, and hearing their stories and talking with them. I've had so many come to different events that I've had the honor of being a part of over the last 6 months. Just really has touched my heart the most. I've heard from parents, former teachers that I taught with or worked with when I was at the Educational Service Center. And I've always tried to be very open-hearted to like what, and open-minded, I think, to what is changing. Education's changed a lot. It's changed a lot in the last 5 to 10 years. And I've always tried to go in with an open mind of, especially when I cross over to the dark side, I like to call it, of administration, never forgetting my seat as a teacher. I think that's so important that I never forget that journey, like the hard days, the grading papers till midnight, the students who were unmotivated, the struggles and the triumphs. Sometimes I miss just those, seeing that light bulb moment with children in the classroom. And I get to see it, but I see it in a different way now. And I just always try to remember like what it was like to be in that seat. And I don't want to ever forget that, because that's what made me who I am as an educator. And it's what made me who I am as a mom. I have 2 young children that are in the Strother City Schools, and I'm very proud of where they are in the education they've got so far. But I never forget where their teachers are. That I've been blessed with the absolute best teachers that my children could have. But I always think of, what I went through as a teacher and the struggles they're going through, or the celebrations. They will email me the greats, and they will email me the times of like, hey, let's work on this, or let's do this. Here's a resource for your child, which is a win-win for me.
And I think that's a great point. And would you tell us how old your kids are and what their names are, so people can know that, hey, you're away from your kids right now because of what you're going through, and we'll talk a little bit about that. So say hi to your kids.
Landon is my son. He's 9 years old and he's in 4th grade. He's a great athlete. He's a great son, but he's a great person. And I'm really proud of who he is when I haven't been home. One thing, Lisa, who I'm sure many of you have seen, who's kind of the voice of my journey, my PR, she likes to call herself, has complimented me a million times on Landon's manners. And that's all I ask. My kids have been through hell and back. I'm going to be blunt about it. From the last 7 months, I went to the hospital thinking I was just sick, and it turned into a whirlwind of things, and we can touch on that a little bit. But Landon has been through a lot, and I'm proud that he has never lost sight of what we've raised him to be. His dad emphasizes respect and manners, and my husband's been amazing through all this too. But I'm really proud of my son through what he's done. And my daughter, Lakin, is in 2nd grade, and she is like her mama, well beyond her years, and could talk to anybody, and could, she's a very strong-willed little girl. And I'm so happy that before this happened to me, I raised her to be very independent, and she saw me as a strong woman, a woman in leadership, which isn't easy. I tell all my friends that are strong women in leadership, the first year is the hardest year. You go through the ups and downs of proving yourself to men, to your superiors, to people who are on an equal playing field to you in a different way. And once you prove yourself that first year or so, people really respect you. And I've been proud to say that I've earned respect from a lot of my colleagues, and that's what my daughter does as well. She's like my nurse. That girl can do anything and everything that my nurses can. She tells me what medicines I need to take at what time. And I'm so proud of the young girl she is. She has a success with the respect and everything that she comes with. So I'm beyond proud of my children and what they have been able to overcome through the absolute biggest test of their lives. My father-in-law passed away 18 months ago, and then my mother-in-law a month ago, and they were a huge, huge part of their life. They picked them up every day from school. They took them everywhere. So in 18 months, they lost their grandparents, and their mom's life changed forever. So my kids have been through a lot, but they are resilient as ever, and we're marching forward. We all are, because that's what the strong do.
And we commend all the educators and the administrators right now in the schools because of what they're dealing with. So we commend them for what they do.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
Now we know that everything took a whirlwind in March.
Yep.
So one day,
a little backstory, my journey, I guess. On March 8th, I was at my son's basketball game in the morning. Didn't feel well by the afternoon. I knew it was time to get my stubborn butt to the doctor. And I was diagnosed with type A flu, given Tamiflu, just like many of us are, and went on my way. Monday morning, I woke up. I didn't feel good at all. I talked to one of my friends at lunch, and I was like, I feel like I'm on my deathbed. And I just kind of thought that that's what the flu felt like. I never had the flu. By 3 o'clock, my blood pressure was dropping, and my chest felt like it was like caving in. And I went to the hospital, and my blood pressure was 60/40. And my lungs, I had double pneumonia in both lungs, which we don't know how that went undiagnosed the day before, but regardless, that's where we were. And within 2 hours, I was on a ventilator. I don't remember much after triage. So my family had to make some big decisions. Tuesday, March 10th, my hands were already turning purple because my vital organs were critical to save. So they had me on 4 blood pressors to save my vital organs. And then my lung collapsed, my kidneys were failing, I was put on dialysis, and I was septic. So I was determined imminent death. And my family was called in. My good friends who have been my lifelong support system were there and basically awaiting my death, which I slept through again. They all lived through it. My dad, God bless him, kept a journal. My mom kept a journal of everything. And they all were basically preparing for the worst. And I'm a fighter. I always have been. And I think something greater than me helped me through it. And I pulled through it. And slowly I started making a turn for the better after a lot of ups and downs and valleys. And then on March 27th, they did determine that my legs needed to be amputated because of loss of blood flow from the blood pressors and everything I had been on. And Dr. Delator, my vascular doctor, who was amazing through all this, decided to save my legs below my knees so that I would have more mobility. So they took my legs on March 27th. And then on April 6th, they had to take my arms below my elbows. So I slept through my birthday, which is my favorite day of the year, the greatest holiday of the year, April 9th.
Oh, that's my wife says that too. Greatest holiday in the world.
It is. It's a day to celebrate me. I love my birthday. So I slept through my birthday, and then I forget the exact date. My dad would have it. He probably is spatting it off as we're speaking, but they slowly started waking me up and weaning me off. And I was on a trach and on a ventilator still. And the only way that I could talk with my family and my best friends at that point was through Zoom, because I went in the hospital the week before COVID hit. So COVID shut down everything March 15th. I was in the 9th. So when I woke up, everyone had masks on and no one was allowed in to see me. My grandfather passed away while this was going on, and I couldn't be there, obviously. The hospital was nice enough to let my family in that day. And then my husband was allowed in every third day. So he came in, and I couldn't talk. I could only lip. And I made him bring me a notebook, and no one could understand why he brought me a notebook. What was I going to do with this notebook? I had no hands. I had no legs. But I wanted to be able to give a code system to the nurses of what I needed. So Mike was able to, and I think it's after 20 years of being together, understand what I was saying. 0 meant I needed to blow my nose. Number 1 meant I needed water. 2, and I wrote it in this notebook, and the nurses were like, oh my gosh, because a lot of them couldn't understand me. Like when you lip read, that's very hard. And so my notebook was like the best thing, because I would just be able to say, and they could read that.
Just for everyone knows, she was lip syncing. Nothing was coming out of her mouth.
Yes. So they were able to interpret that. And then the only person who could interpret my full sentences and exactly what I was saying and thinking was Lisa, but she's been my best friend for 39 years. So I guess that's what happens after that long. And my brother and sister were interpreting some things for my mom, and she would get all stressed of what in the world is she saying? But that went on for like a good 2 weeks. And
actually, let me follow up real quick. I actually was talking to someone who, I'm going to quote them, and these are where, yeah. To say I'm proud to be Kristin's best friend is an understatement. She is truly my ride or die in life. To go from where she was 6 months ago to now is not only a miracle, but a testament to who she is. She's a fighter. She is a true definition of strength, determination. She told me the next time I see her, she'll be walking, and I can't wait to continue to walk beside her in life together. And I think that brings on who that is.
That would be Lisa.
Yes, she
Sure.
we she gave me that quote because I wanted to tell you that there are people out here that you may think that, hey, they're thankful, but they are really thankful and helping you with everything.
Yeah, yeah. You know what? She and all my best friends, I have the best mom group that you could ever ask for. Landon's best friends' moms have become my best friends. But I've had the same best friends my whole life. Jessica Seen is one of my best friends. She's been there for me. Lisa Kanowski, Jen Gavalier, Jen Scarmack, they have all been there for me. My neighbor, who sometimes you just have a neighbor, but my neighbor Leah Godoy has become one of my absolute best friends and was there to shower me and bathe me and help me go to the bathroom at times when I needed somebody in 2 minutes. Leah ran across the yard. And I'm just truly blessed and thankful for all of them. Kat Sircone Miller, many of you know her as the mayor, but I know her as one of my best friends. She's had one of the toughest years of her life, but she was there for me and more importantly, my kids as a second mother and her husband as a second father. When we had no worries in the world to send our kids and put our kids with who were we going to send them with on a school night, that's where they went. So I'm blessed beyond words for my friends. And I know some of my friends, like they always say, this has been harder on them than it's been harder on me because I slept through most of it. And I did sleep through the hardest part of it. You know,
Let
by
me
the
follow
time,
up with that. Let me
yep,
follow up with that. So maybe people don't know this, but you were actually tested for COVID and it came back negative. Is that correct?
I have been tested 6 times and they have been negative all 6 times. So if you want to hear about the COVID test, give me a call. Um,
You want to hear about it, and I want to follow up with a thing you said is you slept through it. So does that mean you woke up with your legs and hands amputated?
I woke up with my legs and hands amputated. I couldn't talk, and no one was there. Um, Mike was there like the next day when I was starting to wake up. But yeah, I woke up with like the holy crap moment of your life of like what happened. You know, like just all of this. Um, like holy cow!
Like
When the
what did you
world.
feel?
I was confused at first because I do vaguely remember looking at my arm and thinking like I had been in a fire. And I remember thinking for whatever reason, Brian, who's one of the assistant super or excuse me, assistant principals with me, I was like, I'm just gonna tell him that I got burned in the fire and I'm gonna be okay. And I have no idea why I thought that. And I thought like I was so worried about what I was going to tell him at work. But I was, because I think that was just like my sheer will and determination of like, I'm going to be okay. Um, I've cried, but I can honestly tell you very few times because like I had to take this head on and I just had to get back to me. And my mom always says she knew when I had my mind, my mouth, and my heart that I was going to be okay. And if anybody knows me well. I have my mind and I have my mouth, and I'm going to be okay. You know, the first morning that I was able to talk, I obviously called my husband. I called my brother and sister, and then my parents had just happened to have my children that night overnight. And my sister and her husband were living there in between houses at the time. And it was like during pandemic, and I called, and it was like 9:30 in the morning, and it took them forever to answer. And they answer, and they're all in their pajamas, and I'm like, "What is going on in that house? It is 9:30 in the morning. What has happened to my children?" And I'm saying this with my speaking valve. The first time I got to speak to anybody, and they were like, "She's back," and that's
And they
just me.
probably got a good laugh out of it.
Absolutely, they did, and I think like as time has went on, like hearing that someone you love has lost their arms and legs, you fear the worst. But as they've all got to see me, like, and know, like, I'm me still. And I am more determined than ever to be anything that I want to be. I've started writing a book, and I'm working really hard on that, and have some things working towards that goal. And I'll get there. I will never stop believing in what I can do. This will not define me, and I know that. It won't define who I am in my career, who I am as a parent, who I am as a wife, who I am as a friend, who I am as a daughter or sister. And that will never change. And that's just kind of been my attitude from the beginning. And I think that that's helped my family heal and my friends heal and my kids, because, at first, the first time I saw them, it was May 13th, and I only got to see him for 10 minutes going outside from the ambulance of St. Elizabeth to come here to Mercy. And I didn't want them to see my arms and legs and that be what they remembered for 10 minutes. And then I was gone again for a month for general rehab. Then I've been home 6 weeks now. Now I'm back here getting my prosthetic legs. I'll go home next Tuesday, October 6th, with my legs. But I didn't want my kids to see that initially. And then once they came home and they saw it, and they saw that it was Mom, and I was loving them and caring for them the same way and yelling at them the same way, they quickly adapted to this situation. And their friends have. Their friends have never been afraid to come and give me a hug and see how I'm doing. And they're young kids too. But I think a lot of it has been them seeing me in the media. I've been honored by Stan Boney's really covered my story a lot. The Vindicator has really covered my story a lot. So they've seen me as me. And that has helped them a ton. And that's how I always want everyone to see me, as the person they've always known. And that's just kind of how I got to here. And now I go on our annual glamping trip with all of our friends, October 23rd. And I told them they didn't want to go. They didn't want to book it because they were afraid. And I said, we're going. And I'm like, I will walk into that trip, I promise you. And I am walking into that trip. And they didn't believe me at that point, but I like defying odds, and the odds have been stacked up against me from the beginning of this. And I am more determined than ever to just keep defying this and keep beating this. And my goal is to walk without my walker on March 9th, which will be a year since all this started. And I'll get there. I know I will.
Well,
but I have an amazing support system behind me, like you even. Just, I've known you just through mutual friends, and just reaching out even for this tonight. It's an honor just to be here and talk with others.
I appreciate it. Let's talk about, and what I want people to understand is that you woke up, everything happened, you're yelling at your kids as always, wondering what's going on.
Yeah.
And so take us to where that was, and kind of where you are from the hospital to when you got out of the hospital.
Perfect. So I got out in May, or no, excuse me. I went from St. Elizabeth to UPMC. Greatest. I love this place. I feel my friends laugh that I'm on vacation now because my nursing is so fabulous here, and my therapist. But I was here till the middle of June. Then I went home. 3 weeks later, I got my prosthetic arms, which are myoelectric.
And there's a good example to see that she's got her hands.
Yes, I have my hands, and I tell my mind what to do with my hands. So it's amazing. I've come a long way, even in the week and a half that I've been here with my hands and working on my fine motor skills, picking things up. Things like that. I started reading paper books again this week and highlighting. I love to annotate when I'm reading. I'm reading a professional book right now, and I'm doing it like I always did. So I was home from June until I came back here. It'll be 2 weeks Saturday for what they call gait training for my legs and working on my prosthetics, and I'm up to a 6-hour wear time as of today, and we'll keep increasing that till we get to about 8 to 10 hours. and then it'll be up to me how long I can wear. And my legs and my scars have held up really well. Sometimes I worry about that with the amputation, how well your skin holds. And my body has just really recovered well from this and allowed me to move on. So I'm walking now with assistance with a platform walker, and I'm getting stronger. I walked up steps today. I went up 4 steps and came back down 4 steps, and that's something that I never thought I would do. There's a lot of things that you don't realize in life that we just do naturally. Today I brushed my teeth really well for the first time unassisted, and I brushed my hair and got ready this morning. I didn't do my braids. One of my fabulous nurses did, but I'm starting to do things and feel independent again. You know, I talked with a gentleman who does assistive technology, comes from the University of Pittsburgh here, and today we talked about me driving, and like that's something like I never even thought like, holy cow, like I will drive again. But again, that's me just, I don't take no for an answer well. I never have. My dad will attest to that.
I'll
And
attest to that in basketball.
you know what? Hey, don't call bad fouls on Boardman Spartans basketball. Coach
Well,
Birch and
that's
I will
another.
appreciate
Hey,
it.
yeah, and I wonder
That's
who's
another
biased
show.
on that.
Yeah, so my brother is the head coach, and I'm his biggest super fan besides his
Yeah,
wife
so a
and
little
kids.
bias there. Little
A little
bias
biased,
there.
you know. I'll let you know when you call a bad foul.
I'm
But
used to. Everyone else in the place will let me know.
yes, I'll let you know. I'm working on being his stats girl and working the iPad this year so I can get into a game. So we'll see if it happens. I always told him I'd end up on his bench one way or another, and I'm trying to make it happen. But that was
He is
one of my
assistant
biggest goals.
coach.
Yes, that was one of my biggest goals too. I do honestly, I love and I respect my brother more than anything, and what he's been able to accomplish with those young kids, both off and on the court. And I said from the beginning of this that I would walk into his first game, and I'm going to walk into that first game.
And I have something for you too.
Oh, geez, let me see. I love the research you put into this.
Thank you. I try. Kristin is someone I look up to my whole life. She has always been a person I have learned on for advice and support. Now, as she has taken on this extreme challenge life has thrown at her, Kristin is not just my older sister who I look up to. She is truly my inspiration for everyone who knows her story.
Now you are going to make me cry. And my brother has been, my brother and sister, my sister taught my kids till the end of the school year while she was teaching virtually herself. And my brother has become my financial planner, my STRS planner, and has taken on a side of things that no one wants to take on with all of this. And him and his wife have never wavered from taking this on for me, and I'm forever grateful. I have the best siblings. We were raised to have a close-knit relationship, and through tough times, that's what family does. And I'm very blessed to have the siblings that I do, and I'm blessed to have the in-laws or that they married. My brother-in-law lives in North Carolina, and I was home for a week, and he made his way up here with his wife and kids, and like didn't stop at anything to do anything I needed. That weekend it was 4th of July. It was 95 degrees, and everyone was swimming in our pool. And he's like, "Aren't you hot?" I'm like, "I'm so hot." And he left and came back with a big canoe boat for me to sit outside in so I could feel cooled off. And that's just, I have the best siblings in the world, and the best, like, my brother-in-law, I consider him my other brother, and I'm so blessed for them. I'm so blessed, like, for my husband who's put up with me and put up with a lot. We see the frustrating moments, and I always say they're moments. I never have a bad day. I have a bad moment. And that's kind of become my motto of that I've really preached to my kids. And I've had the honor of talking to some of our area athletes and kids and things like that. And I always tell them, like, I saw Ursuline High School girls softball team play. They came and played in the tournament that was in honor of me. And I told them, like, you might have a bad pitch today, a bad hit, you might strike out, but don't let that define your game. Just like I'm not letting that define my game of life. My family's big into sports, and so am I. And that's just kind of, this is my game of life. And this might be my tough quarter, my tough inning of life, but it's not like the end of my game.
And people have rallied around you, fundraising to help for a variety of different medical costs and stuff. Tell us how'd that feel when everyone kind of was so supportive and really rallied around you?
So the first fundraiser was 1,000 spaghetti dinners. Don DeVito's, Alan, Bridget Donatelli reached out to my family and friends and wanted to help. They said, we will donate 1,000 dinners. Can you sell them? And my friend said, absolutely, we will sell them. My friends and family got to work, put together a fundraising committee, and they had an agenda. My friends are amazing. My sister's part of their crew, they call themselves, and self-proclaimed Kristin's crew. And they not only sold 1,000 dinners, they knocked it out of the park. And within an hour and a half, this valley came, rallied, and did for me the unthinkable, and we sold out. The Struthers police were happy when it sold out, only because traffic was crazy. And Chief Roddy and some other patrolmen were there volunteering their time. And that just speaks, Struthers is my home, where I came from, where my parents are both from. And that community's rallied around me, but so have people from all over. One of my roommates from college drove in an hour just to get spaghetti dinners and drove back. Like, that's just, it speaks of people. And when I was here in Pittsburgh during the spaghetti dinner, and when I told the nurses that day that they sold 1,000 dinners in an hour and a half, they were like, what? Like, they couldn't believe that. But that's Youngstown, Ohio. And we're not the richest, but we are the proudest, and we rally together better than anybody else in that world. Honestly, that valley rallies, like, through tough economic times, but through tough personal times, the most. When someone's down in our area, we get them back up. And that just is a testament to who we are as people. Matt McClure from Youngstown Clothing Company donated shirts to me, and the one shirt is all about our area and the cool things of our area. And I love when people down here ask me about that and what it is, and I'm like, it's where I'm from and who I am. And like, it's just the greatest place to be from. Like, some people leave and so many people come back, and I'm glad that I chose to keep my family there, and for Mike and I to raise our children there, because it's just a very prideful place to be from. And I'm proud to say that I live there and I work there, and I'm making an impact on children that Lord knows where they'll end up, the places they'll go in life, of where they'll be. Not everybody stays in our area, but they always can say where they're from and be proud to be from Youngstown.
Well, we are a tight knit community. We're always out there to help people in need in a variety of different ways. And I read somewhere that you have some aggressive goals to get back to Camel. Explain that.
So my goal initially was to go back in August. Then I had a setback with my lung. I did have to come back here for 3 weeks and have a chest tube put in and things like that, due to some complications from my lung. So now I'm going back. November 2nd is what's on the calendar in my mind. And I just want to get back to being around kids, making an impact. I have one of the greatest administrative teams in the world to work with. We've been together pretty much like 7 years in some capacity or another, and that doesn't happen a lot in administrative teams. But I'm honored to work with the best principals, the best special services, the best teachers, the best custodial staff, and our kitchen staff. I mean, everybody. Literally, it is a great place to call home for work, and I just want to get back to that sense of normalcy and get writing grants again and finding funding to make a greater impact with our kids and our greater community. It's not just about our kids, but we build a center in Campbell that's going to have a regional impact on students. And that's ultimately like what education has become about. How can we work together to impact students, work smarter, not harder? And we've collaborated with a lot of educational resources in our area, and I need to get back to that. I'm hungry to get back to it, get my mind working again, and things like that.
Well, you seem like you're on your way, and I commend you for what you're doing.
Thank you
Um,
so much.
I mean, we look at a lot of people follow you and see your improvements every day, every hour. As you say, you already have your hands and you're already working on them. And actually, let me ask this question: where are you right now?
So I am in the hospital, in my room that I got set up here for my interview with one of my nurses a little bit, but I really found a way to get into position and get my Keep Fighting Kristin shirt on that my sister-in-law designed the logo for. Shout out to her. But yeah, I'm at Mercy Hospital, UPMC in Pittsburgh, here till October 6th, and then I'm walking out of here.
Can people still buy those T-shirts?
Absolutely. They can
Can you
reach
tell
out.
people how they buy them?
Yes, they can reach out through the Keep Fighting Kristin page on Facebook. They're $15, and they are going to help defray the medical cost and the redesign costs of my life, including my home and all those things that are going. My life is forever changed, so I have to make the accommodations necessary at work, at home, and in life to make sure that I can do the things that I want to do still without having any barriers. So Keep Fighting Kristin on Facebook is there, and reach out to our page and we will get you a shirt. We take cash or electric payment. So my team
Cash or credit
finds a
card?
way to get it done.
Yep. And just for everyone's viewing, we will put a link to her Facebook group in the information of this video after the video is done for tomorrow morning. So we'll make sure we put that. So if anyone wants to buy a shirt or reach out to the group and talk about getting a T-shirt, or maybe there's another way you can help, we'll make sure we put that for you, Kristin.
Awesome. I appreciate it so much, and I can't
So
thank you enough.
not a problem. So let's talk. So you missed your birthday.
I did.
I got a story here
Oh,
that
geez. You need to research.
it's what I'm supposed to do.
I
So you missed
know.
your so next April will be your which birthday?
It will be my 40th birthday.
Tell everyone what you want to do on your 40th birthday.
So I am going to go to Nashville, Tennessee with my best friends, my sister, and my family. I think my sister-in-law is actually coming from North Carolina with some of her friends too. And we are taking Nashville by storm and just, I think, celebrating my birthday, but more importantly, our lifelong friendships and me being there and me overcoming my birthday next year will be 13 months to the day that I got sick, and 13 is an unlucky number sometimes, but 13 months is going to be the beginning of the best year of my life. Not everybody looks forward to 40, but I can't wait for 40, and I can't wait to see what this next year brings and what opportunities my life's going to lead me to, because I know that my journey in life is not done yet. So I am going to start it off with a bang with my 40th birthday in Nashville, girls only weekend. No kids, no hubbies. We're excited.
And what would Mike say to that?
I think Mike will help pack my bags by that point, because he will be ready for mama to fly the nest again a little bit, but he, in all honesty, has been beyond supportive and loving. He has his moments of frustration. I do too, but he's always supported me in my career and in my life of what I'm doing and where I'm going. And he will probably maybe buy me a new suitcase. I need a new one, so hopefully that'll be one of my presents to get on the plane.
Well, and speaking of girls and friends, I talked to someone and they gave me this, and I want your response on this. Kristin is an inspiration to anyone who knows her. She is absolutely an unstoppable woman. End quote. That was from Mayor Kat
I
Miller,
knew it. I
City of
could have
City of
guessed.
Struthers. How do you
Yes.
respond to that?
I have unstoppable friends like her, who are surrounding me, and we are determined women, who believe that anything's possible. The sky's the limit. Blow the roof off. It's kind of what she did in her election. She blew things out of the water, and it's our roots, and who we are raised to be. Just to be strong women, and that's what I'm raising right now, a strong woman. And I hope my daughter blows the roof off of things, and she will, because she sees my will and determination, and she sees the women that I'm around, and that's what she'll be. And I'm honestly unstoppable because no one's ever really stopped me, and when my parents have tried, I've just said no anyway. So I've always
Defying your
just,
parents.
yes, I've always just defied, like, maybe what I'm supposed to do, and maybe it wasn't the smartest decision or the best decision at the time, but it's made me who I am today, and I wouldn't change, anything of that for the world, because I am here today because I was not able to be stopped. I always say that I knocked on heaven's gates and heaven said, "Hell no, we ain't ready for her yet," and sent me packing. And I'm just not ready to stop doing what I'm doing. And I'm hoping to go beyond our region, and my voice be heard for people really honestly who don't have a voice too. Like, there are a lot of barriers that I face that you don't realize until you're in this position of navigating a wheelchair into certain restaurants and certain things. And yes, there's ADA compliance, but is it really compliant for everyone? No, it's not. I was in a hospital setting for an appointment, and we couldn't find a restroom that could accommodate my chair. And that should never happen in the year 2020. So I do want to be a voice at the legislative level also for people who don't have maybe their mental capacity or the physical capacity to have their needs met. So they live at home because they don't have the means to remove those barriers. And that's not how life should be. I've done a lot on universal design for learning in my professional career, but now it's kind of become universal design for living. And how can we live without barriers in this world? And that's part of me being unstoppable, is helping to stop those barriers for people
And
and
you know what,
myself.
you have a positive attitude, and you're a pretty
Thank you.
you're a pretty positive person, with an amazing attitude, I should say. So, considering what you've gone through, okay, what advice or uplifting message and spirits can you give anyone watching you right now that may be going through difficult times, either like you or in a different scenario that they're going through during either this pandemic or just something in life?
Life in general, absolutely. I kind of touched on it already a little bit. It's about one moment. It's about one moment in time. We all have moments in time that we'll never forget in a positive way. And this is just one moment in time of my life. Some days are just one moment when I can't get my pants on a certain way, or I can't do a certain thing. It's one moment. It is not a definition of who we are as individuals, or what your limitations may be, or what you can or can't do with your family and friends. I have not let this stop me one time from being with my friends, being with my family, And I just truly believe it's because I have made it about one moment and not about one day. I never, ever have had a bad day in any of this. I've had bad moments. I for sure had moments of being mad and like, why did this happen to me? And then I snap out of it. I can't change the why. I cannot change why this happened, but I can change what I do with it from here. And that's what I have become determined to do. And my family has backed me 110%. My friends have. And that's why I'm where I am. And again, this valley has rallied around me. I have people on my Facebook page I haven't seen since elementary school that like are there cheering me on, and their kids are wearing my shirt. And my shirt's not just about me. It's about what people can do to keep fighting and keep believing and keep doing. And that's what we really, even as honestly a crew, what we have become, what we want to do for people, and just make a difference and make it more than a moment in time that's tough, and more than an inning or a quarter of your life. This is just it. And I'll go back to the sporting analogy. This is my game, and I'm the head coach this time. My brother's on the sidelines watching me
Oh boy.
coach right now. He's loving every minute of it. I'm calling the plays, and I'm not yelling about rebound that ball. He's catching my rebounds right now. They're catching my interceptions. And honestly, I mean that in all sincerity, because I do have days where I drop the ball. And I, make a harder decision than some of my family wants me to make, with thinking like maybe I can't do that. But I do it, and then they're like, well, okay, we're going to let her go. And this is my game that I'm coaching, and I am leading my children through, and my husband. I'm coaching him a little bit through this because sometimes I got to talk him off the ledge. Of just, this is hard. He became like almost a single parent overnight, of doing everything that I packed the lunches. I did all the things that a mom does, and no offense to dads, but mom just play a different role. But I'm still doing them in a different capacity. Tonight I studied my daughter's spelling words with her, because she sends me a picture of them and we go through them. And technology allows us to remove a lot of those barriers in life, and there's a lot of resources that are allowing me to still be a mom and still coach my kids through life. And that's what I'll always be there to do, is be their biggest cheerleader. And hopefully you'll be reffing in 10 years when Landon's in high school basketball and I can still yell at you.
Yeah, I don't. Well, the 40,
You can't hang it up yet, because Landon's going to be a showstopper in 10 years, and you want to be a part of that success. Wildcats,
Well, the new
10 years,
40,
mark my words.
yeah, the new 40 is 29. So once you turn,
Exactly. I don't feel 40 physically or mentally at all. I don't feel 40. I don't feel like my 30s are almost over. I feel like life's just beginning for me. And, in a lot of ways it is. Being a mom and being a wife really started life, but I'm starting my second chance at life. And when you get a second chance, you do things differently, and you don't take things for granted. And that's probably one of the biggest things. I have the best support system. My parents stop at nothing to help us. And I probably had my biggest frustrations on my parents, on my brother, on my sister, on my husband, the most. But you do it with the people you love the most. And I think they get that. And they get that, like, they're going to walk me through a moment, and they're going to be there on the other side when I come out even stronger. And that's what I've done every time. So I'm just going to keep playing the game of life and play it harder than the next person, and come out on top with my team.
so what's next? What's the plans for the future now? I mean, everyone wants to know. Like, we know you're gonna go back to school hopefully in November, with no complications. We all pray that you make it back. What's in the future? What does the future hold for you?
So I'm writing a book. I'm working on that now. I'm really hoping to honestly go through with that in the next year. Publishing and all that takes a while. But my superintendent always says, come back to work before I start my public speaking tour. And he jokes because he knows me so well. But part of him knows that that's probably like really like I love talking to people, and I would love to be on that road of talking just about my story, but more importantly, like how I can help people overcome the barriers of life and how like it's about your mindset. We can be fixed on Youngstown and the steel mills of Black Monday, or we can grow in our mind. And it's a growth mindset of, you know, being open-minded to change and adversity and barriers and things that we can't always control, but how do we work through them? I cannot control this right now, but I can control my mind and what I do with the tools that I'm given. You know, my therapist here always tell me like I work the hardest of anybody because I never let me tell them no. You know, even on days when I'm dying and I'm sweating, and my physical therapist first told me I was going into quadruped, which is like your arms and legs up in the air, like you're like on all fours almost up in the air. And Lisa Kanowski can tell you, like the first time I called her and I'm like, Lee, they want me to go into quadruped. And she's like, oh, that's hard. She's a physical therapist. And she's like, that's tough. And now I do it for 5-6 minutes at a time because my therapist never, ever, when I was sweating and it was 90 degrees in the summer, they didn't let me say no. And I don't say no. I don't take no for an answer. And I don't know where everything's going to take me. I wish I had a crystal ball a little bit of where I am 5-10 years from now, but I don't know. I know that I want to always have an impact on our valley and our area and our kids and my kids, but I also want to expand my reach and my knowledge and my mindset to other people. So we'll see. I don't know where the
Well, I wish you
journey will
nothing
take
but
me.
I wish you the best. You have a great positive attitude, and
Thank you
really
so
are amazing of what you've been able to kind of accomplish in a short period of time.
Yes, thank you. It's been a long 7 months and a quick 7 months all at one time. Life has gone full circle almost and gone by in the blink of an eye in some aspects, and sometimes I feel like time has frozen. But I will continue to push through time and push through all this with the amazing support system. I can't thank people enough who have come out and helped with fundraisers. I had a softball tournament with Dave Matz and Fred Moots from Boardman that put it on just from knowing me from going to games and being that crazy girl in the stands cheering. But they put on
No, no crazy.
yes, not me at all. But they put on an amazing fundraiser for me, and just my friend Jessica Weimer said she would take on the Chinese auction, and she's been my friend since preschool. God love her. She was like, I'll do it. And she's just that woman who will. She thought maybe we'd get 30 baskets. We got 200 baskets between the 2 weekends of and she sorted them so that they were even and equal for each weekend. And her husband helped her, her kids helped her, and her basement was filled to the brim of baskets. But again, that all speaks back to our valley and who we are as people and what we do for each other in tough times. And my crew will always keep giving back to what we can to our valley. You know, I definitely need the support and love financially and emotionally and physically for a long time ahead. But I also want to be able to give back when we can. And that's what my crew is already started looking to do in some aspects, and we will continue to do. And I hope someday, really, one of my goals, when we talk about goals, and I know we're wrapping it up, but I want to have a
Hey,
scholarship.
I got all night till the presidential election.
Oh, geez, we won't go there. Um,
Nope.
no, but I want to have a scholarship in my name and my crew at Struthers, at Camel, and across through the ESC, through the schools that we've serviced. So kind of in those trifold of 3 places that I had the biggest part of my career so far. And I think it's important to, when we start to look at that scholarship, when we look at students who've overcome things beyond the barriers that they were given, whether it was financial, physical. Some of our kids go through emotional things that we don't always know about, and I want to be able to give that back. Youngstown State, I'm proud alum of Youngstown State, both my undergrad and my grad, and I want to be able to help send someone there. President Tressel's done an amazing job there. Our campus is one to be spoke about across the state. My little cousin, my godson, goes to school in Dublin, and he's looking to come to Youngstown State. And 5-10 years ago, that wouldn't have happened for a kid from Columbus to come up here to school. And it's not just because he wants to come for Sunday spaghetti dinner at our house, but it's because he really believes in Youngstown State in this area and what we have to offer. And another one of my young cousins just started there in the School of Business, and she's doing great things. And it just speaks again of our area. I can't tell you how many of my former students now stay at Youngstown State because of a choice and not because just their parents made them stay at home for school. You know, so many people used to say, oh, I'm just going to YSU. And now they say, I'm going to Youngstown State. And they're proud of the culture that's been built down there. And you look at downtown and all of that, like, people our age go back downtown now. And we, you know, venture like Avalon downtown just opened while I've been sick. And just in the last couple of weeks. And I can't wait to get home and go back down there. And even 10 years ago, that wouldn't have happened in our area. And it just speaks of the economic development that the chamber's been able to do. And we worked really close with them in our project in Camel, and they helped get us to the state level and lobby with people. And it's just people in Columbus are listening to what's going on in our area, and that has never really happened in the, you know, history of Youngstown. And it's just because of, like, young people like you and I chose to stay here. We chose to have families here and to believe in this valley. And I think really, like, people talk about, you know, the generation, like the iPhone and the millennials, but I really think that it's more our generation that stayed, that brought things back and are helping the millennials see why we should stay here. You know, why so many of my former students and graduates of our area are staying and making a difference. 3 of my former students got hired as teachers this year, and I feel old, but I feel proud that
Don't
they
say that.
stayed. And I know, but you're only as old as you act, so you know we're good.
Oh, okay.
We're good there. We're both good there. But I look at them and I'm so proud of them for going into education in a time when a lot of people say don't become a teacher. But you know what? Everybody needs a teacher to learn to read and write and think from and develop from. And I'm proud of my students who've gone into education and who are beginning to make that impact on students. I'm excited to see what these young girls, as I like to call them still, because some of them I had in 7th grade, and then I was their cheerleading advisor, and I watched them become young women. And I'm excited to see where their future takes them, because, you know, when I first started that first year of teaching, which I'll apologize to some of my students that I had way back then for what you do the first year of teaching to what you learn now. But I never thought in my first year, like, where exactly I would go. I knew that I wanted to go beyond just the classroom. Not that the classroom isn't just as important or more important than administration, but I just wanted to see education through all lenses. And I've really been able to do that as a teacher. Then at the ESC kicked the barn door wide open for me. I met so many administrators from across the area and got to work with the best of the best of teachers and work with teachers who came to workshops on school nights at the ESC to get better in their craft and to make their students better, and they didn't get paid to do it. Teachers don't get paid to work after hours. They don't get paid to lug that cart home every night and grade papers, but they do it because of their passion. And that's always what I've wanted for my own kids, is to have teachers who have that passion and that fire. And I hope at year 40 that I still have this passion and fire that I do right now at year 17. And I just hope that our area and our, field of education never loses our fire to believe in kids, because that's what it's all about. Kids don't choose the situation they're born into. They don't choose the situation that they sometimes get handed as they get older. They don't even always choose the choices that they make, because sometimes they're influenced by things on the outside that's all they've ever known. But I always encourage them to rise above their situation. You can't choose your situation, but you can choose how you can rise above it and rise out of it. And that's one thing that's why I've loved working with the populations that I have, is the kids that learn to overcome and come back, and I see them 5 or 10 years down the road, and like some of them have overcome things. One of my favorite best students, I call him my son, and he still calls me mom. He's 24 years old now. He went into the trucking industry, and part of it was his dad and I and his mom stayed on him to figure it out. What are you going to do? Well, after graduation, well, after I had him in class, it was, what are you going to do and what are you going to do next? And he's doing amazing in the trucking industry. So it's not always about college. Excuse me. It's about careers and technical education. Career ed has blown up over the last couple of years, and it's those technical jobs have a shortage because so many people thought it wasn't the right way to go. But really, those are some of the most high-paying careers, and I encourage my kids at school to take many different paths. And I'm just proud to be from Youngstown, Ohio. And I know you are too, and we're lucky.
And I think we all commend of what we do in the city or in the area, I should say, and we thank you for doing what you do and what your friends have rallied behind you to come together. And I think that says a lot about, like we talked about earlier, not about just one individual, but about a community that comes together, no matter where you're from, Boardman, Poland, Youngstown, Warren, anything like that. So we commend you and your friends for that.
Thank you so much. Yeah. And I know they would thank you as well. I have a tough group of friends. We have many different talents as we get together for our meetings, and we have our agendas drawn up, and everybody brings something to the table. And it's not just my crew, quote unquote. It's my vast majority of friends, my circle I have a pretty tight circle, but I have a pretty big circle that surrounds me too, and helps in every way they can, at the drop of a hat, taking my kids to practice, making us dinner. We had a meal train that started back in May, I think, and then my sister-in-law, they stopped it for a little bit, started it back up again, and last night we got our last meal. So every other night since May, with a little hiatus while I was in the hospital, someone has brought us dinner, and it has been people that we've known our whole lives and people we've never met. And it's just because the power of my story getting out there and people believing in me, and I'm forever indebted to those people who made my husband's life easier, made my family's life easier, and made it easier for my friends to know they were all taken care of when I couldn't be there and when I can't cook and clean and do all those things.
Right. Well, and I hope we can share this and get your story out there and help you in a variety of different ways, and hopefully share your aspiration and your advice to what you tell people that are in a difficult situation. And we hope they can carry on that message as well.
Yes, absolutely. I hope to, continue to broaden my reach, not for me, but for my voice. and who I want to be for other people.
And Kristin, it's always a pleasure. Tell people how they can still help out and buy a t-shirt.
Absolutely. Keep Fighting Kristin, Kristin on Facebook. My mom will enunciate the IN, spelling my name. Excuse me. But Keep Fighting Kristin on Facebook is the easiest way. Just inbox us and we will get you a shirt, $15. We will ship it. We have shipped as far as California for my shirts, which is amazing. And it's just a testament to my friends and my family and my believers and my fight to. I read every single Facebook post. I don't always respond to everyone because it's hard to, because I have such an amazing support system, but I read them, and honest to God, Anthony, I will tell you that is what has got me through this. Reading that when things were like tough and things were, down on me at some moments, I read that, and I continue to read them, and that's what gets me through it.
And we thank you for that. And for everyone watching, we will put, when we share this tomorrow morning, we will make sure we put the information in there about the t-shirt, where the email to contact them, so you're able to reach out to them and see how you can help in any way possible. Kristin, it's always a pleasure. Thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule. I know you have a lot going on.
Always great to see you, and it was an honor to be here with you tonight and be here with everybody, and good luck to you. I'm proud of you and what you've been able to do with this, and you're like me, you're a go-getter, and the sky's the limit for you of what you're going to do with this also. So
thank you. You're always welcome. You're always welcome on my podcast. I know we'll talk with you maybe in another 3 months. Give us an update of where you are, and we'll talk then to get more, to kind of see your progression and seeing how you are and just checking up on you. So everyone, thank you for joining us tonight. Check out the podcast interviews and videos at anthonybspano.com. We will have Kristin's information on our website starting tomorrow morning at our website, so we'll be able to pass that information. Everyone, thank you very much.
Thank you.
God bless.
Thank you so much.